Hey guys, Tanner here with STK Cattle and Hay. We're moved back down to closer to home on some of my own farms. We're cutting more rye. Keep getting rained out 20 miles north. Just that ground up there's red and got a bunch of clay in it, so once it rains that stuff gets sticky and greasy and you can bury your equipment pretty quick. But I've got this place where everything I have is pretty sandy, so it's well drained, and it hasn't rained near as much here as it did 20 miles north, so I can still come down here and swath, and I'll move back up north once I get done with this, finish up there. But this here's another mixed forage crop. It's wheat, rye, triticale, and barley. There's a lot more vetch in this, so it'll be fairly decent quality, but I honestly didn't even think this stuff would make any hay this year. It was, we got down to 1st of May and this stuff wasn't even knee high, so I'd kind of written it off. But with all the moisture we've been getting, it just kept growing, and that's what I like about rye. It'll sit and wait on the rain a little bit. But out there you can see where the other day we were disking, and we'll plant feed here pretty soon, hopefully later this week. But it's looks like we got everything pretty well killed over there. But this is I'd call it one of my flatter farms, but it does have a couple hills that you have to just about have to have front wheel assist tractor on, or tractor with duals to keep from spinning out. That's where these bar tread tires on the swather come in handy. The turf tread tires that this thing had on it when I got it were about worthless in the sand, so I found these tires used on Facebook Marketplace, and they were worth every penny. They've been on here for 3 or 4 years now, and they've held up pretty good. The one of them's pretty dry, got quite a bit of dry rot and cracking in it. That tire's got a tube in it. The other one's in really good shape still. But it's amazing what you can find on Facebook Marketplace. These tires new were, I think they were $2,500 a tire. I bought the pair of them for $500. So I usually keep a lookout on there for tires, tractor tires, swather tires, even pickup tires. I'm kind of a hoarder. If I think I'll need it in the future, I'd probably go buy it if I can. So just keep it. One of these days I'll surely need it. But these tires have been good to have on this machine. It couldn't climb these hills with the turf tread. The tires just spin and dig a hole in the sand. these tires don't hardly spin, but I will run out of power coming up a hill. But there's ways to get up it anyways. This hill in front of us, I remember whenever I was, probably 13 or 14, I was swapping this field, and I came around that hill. It was a little older swather than this one, and that hill has a pretty good sized sand dune over the backside, and I got the swather buried in the sand dune. It had came, I don't know if it was planted or if I was cutting Johnson grass or what I was doing. I'll admit to not knowing a whole lot at that time. I was just sitting in a seat. We'll drive up here. But I was just sitting in a seat and steering, and I buried the swather that we had at that time back here. And I have pictures about 10 years ago of me up here planting this, and this was all just a sand dune. There was no, I mean, this is all volunteer right up here now, but there was absolutely nothing up here. We were, I think that's 2012, and we were still in a drought then, but yeah, here you go. That right there is a sand dune. So that's all the sand that used to be in that hole. It's all blown out over these farms. It's kind of hard to get back in that corner and farm. I've done it a couple times, but it's hard to get up over this little sand hill that comes down towards that barn over there that you can see. But yeah, I have a picture of we were planting with the John Deere. It's a 9330 and John Deere air seeder. And the previous tenant of this is a lease farm. My family's leased it off and on for the past 30 or so years. But when another guy was leasing it, we were still custom planting it. And he said to plant every acre, so I got up here as close to that sand dune as I could. And got it planted for the guy. I don't know if he ever got anything harvested up here, but anyways, I'm slowly making my way back over the top of this hill, trying not to let it blow. So I just plant about a drill width further up the hill every year. So I started way down on the side of the hill and just completely went around this. But every year I get a little further up on it, and adds me a few more acres, a little more hay, a little more seed. I typically cut this farm for grain. We've got a couple, we got 1,000 bushel grain bins about a mile and a half from here. So I cut this one for grain, and we store grain there, but with as dry as it is, there's not going to be much grain in these heads. So we'll try and get back to that next year. But for this year, it's gonna make good hay, and hopefully I can get back to getting some grain in the bin every year instead of having to buy every every bushel I plant. So I think this is only the second time I've swapped this field in 6 years. So I've cut more seed off of it than I have baled it. The few times I baled it, or the last time I baled it was sorghum stand crop, and now we got this time. Otherwise, I've cut rye off of about every. This farm's got basically 3 80-acre fields on it. It's the way I divided it up, and I've cut every field for rye, and the goal this year was to cut some for oats, but that kind of fell through. The last video I was farming that under because of the weeds and just poor stand. So oats are kind of a finicky crop in my opinion. They make great hay when they make, but more times than not, I think they fail. It's just been my experience. But this is a dry land farm, so I try to keep the hay production down to a minimum and retain as much organic matter on these farms as I can by cutting grain. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you watching. If you got any questions, let me know. But until next time, we'll see you later. Have a good one.